never over until you decide it's won. When the odds are stacked against you, when the world says no, you have two choices: to give up or to rise. Every setback is a lesson, every failure a step closer to victory. It's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. The road to success is paved with passion and the belief that it's not over until you win.
Every single good thing that happens in our lives, everything, comes at a cost. There's nothing for free. Somebody with an incredible career has no relationship with their kids, right? Everything comes at a cost. But at the same time, everything we struggle with has opportunity and lesson that goes with it. It's always balanced, right? And so whenever anybody tells me this great thing, I'm always like, yeah, but at what cost? And was the cost worth it? Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. And when something horrible happens in someone's life or something goes sideways, I always ask, what did you learn? You know, the golden circle and the concept of why came out of me losing my passion and hating work. I went through depression. I never want to go through that again, but I'm really glad it happened.
Ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing on a regular basis to absolutely screw up my life? What would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? Because you're not everything you could be, and you know it. And you could be way better. You could be incomparably better across multiple dimensions.
There's a lot of things in life that we can control, but we choose not to.
Do you realize that every day you thought you wasn't gonna make it? Do you remember them days where you thought it was absolutely unbearable and you thought you wasn't gonna endure that one? Do you know that your survival rate for every last one of them bad days is 100%? You batting 1,000. You survived every hater. You survived all the evictions. You survived the firings. You survived all the tell you no, we ain't hiring. You survived all the trouble you ever been in. Your survival rate is 100%.
You got to proactively prepare to catch yourselves. When you find yourself getting negative with people that you have allowed to push your buttons, when you find yourself becoming negative about what's happening to you and the circumstances that you're involved in.
This belongs to you. This is yours. You're the captain. You're the master. You're the foreman. You're the general. You're the head. Don't give control of this to nobody.
You're going to hit a wall. Everybody hits the wall. And that wall shocked some people. That wall knocked the life out of some people. That wall discouraged some people. The wall is painful. Some will choose to go back. But there's some small number who, when they hit that wall, they decide, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be over there. This person doesn't care about the pain. Because this person knows something. There's no gain without pain. So this person comes back anyhow, again and again and again. And if you keep on hitting that wall, here's what happens to you, that you will have an incredible breakthrough. And it's as if the universe says, let's help him out. I admire that kind of tenacity. Let's give her a hand. Let's send her assistance, send her resources. It will come out of nowhere as you're working times with tears falling down your face. And you look back on the times and you will cherish those times.
But you have to start living your life in expectation. You have got to start expecting great things to happen for you in order for it to happen. If you live your life in expectations, that's what happens to you. If you live your life in despair, that's what happens to you. Say this to yourself every day. It's not over until I win. It's not over till I get through. Not over till I get over. Not over till I get what I want. Door can't open today, look out. I'm going to come back and take the hinges off.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we must be. No guts, no glory. You've got to be willing to face rejection and no again and again and again. Defeat again and again and again. And every time life knocks you down, you jump up and say, it's not over until I win. It's not over. Oh, it's not over yet. you got to take personal responsibility to make it happen. Nobody's going to care more about your dream than you. No one is going to care more about you becoming diamond than you.
If you want to make it happen, it's you. But you've got to take personal responsibility to make it happen.
Join us on the Motivational Healing Podcast. Are you ready to take the next step in your journey of self-improvement? Tune in to the Motivational Healing Podcast, inspiring stories and transformative practices to help you heal, grow, and unlock your fullest potential. Whether you're seeking guidance through life's challenges, motivation to reach your goals, or simply a reminder of your inner strength, this podcast is for you. Subscribe now and start your journey toward a better you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're taking on motivation and resilience, but we're not just skimming the surface.
No, not at all.
We're going to deep dive into this one YouTube video that's just packed with real talk and some challenging ideas.
Yeah, and right away, the speaker, he just kind of throws down the gauntlet. He says, forget this whole success is easy thing. Like, every achievement, no matter how big or small, there's a price to pay.
It's like a slap in the face, right? Like, wait, what am I really signing up for here with my goals?
Exactly. And to make his point, he tells this story about a guy who's super successful in his career, but he ends up really hurting his relationship with his kids. It makes you stop and think, like, what are you willing to sacrifice? You know, do the potential costs even line up with what you care about? What does success even mean to you? Is it worth it?
That is such a good point. I mean, sometimes I know I get caught up in the end goal and I don't even think about, like, the journey, right?
Yeah.
And what could happen along the way.
Totally. And this leads right into another thing the speaker talks about, how we deal with setbacks. And he's so honest about his own struggles. Like, he actually talks about dealing with depression. Wow. And he says, yeah, it was brutal, it was tough. But you know what? It actually forced him to develop this whole golden circle concept. Have you ever heard of that?
I actually haven't. What is that?
So it's this way of figuring out your purpose, your why. The speaker believes if you really understand why you're doing something, the how and the what kind of just fall into place. Like he says, start any project by asking, why am I doing this? And work outward from there.
That makes so much sense. So instead of just focusing on what you want, it's about digging deeper to understand, like, the why behind it.
Exactly. And he goes even further. He says, we got to actually go looking for the lessons in our past failures. He even asks this kind of in-your-face question. What remarkably stupid things am I doing that are holding me back? It's like a dare to stop making the same dumb mistakes and learn from them.
I love that. Turn those stupid things into, like, opportunities to grow, right? Like that whole growth mindset idea. You can always get better and learn more.
Exactly. A growth mindset lets you see those challenges and setbacks as learning experiences, not like you're a failure.
And, you know, when we talk about setbacks, there's this other really powerful idea in the video that I connected with. The whole thing about our 100% survival rate.
Yeah. He basically says, look, you've survived every single bad day you've ever had, every heartbreak, every time you messed up, every challenge, you're still here.
Yeah. Like you said, it's almost a superpower, right? To remember you've made it through so much, it makes you realize how strong you are, how resilient.
It does. But it's not just about, like, gutting it out, you know.
Right.
It's understanding that every challenge you overcome makes you even more resilient for the next one.
I love that perspective. Every challenge, no matter how hard, is like adding another layer to your armor, you know? It prepares you to face whatever comes next.
Exactly. And that brings us to where the speaker says, all right, now you got to take ownership of your life. And he gets really blunt here. He's like, you're the captain, you're the master, you're the foreman, you're the general, you're the head.
Whoa, strong words. He's not messing around. He's saying you're in control, you shape your own destiny. I mean, that's empowering, but it's kind of scary too, right? If you're in charge, that means you're responsible for what happens.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of both exciting and scary at the same time to think about just how much control you have over your own life.
And this whole taking ownership thing, it leads right into another powerful metaphor he uses, hitting the wall. He says everyone sooner or later hits this obstacle, this wall that just seems impossible to get over.
Right. And he talks about how some people, they hit that wall and they just freak out. Some give up entirely. But he says there are these few people who are different. When they hit the wall, they decide they're meant to be on the other side. And nothing's going to stop them.
It's such a strong image. Like, the only way out is through, right? But how do you even get that kind of determination? What makes those who break through different from those who just get stuck?
Well, the speaker says a lot of it has to do with your mindset. He talks about how powerful expectation can be and how destructive despair is. He says, when you expect great things, it can actually make those great things happen. When you believe you can succeed, you're more likely to do the things that lead to success. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and on the other hand, if you're always thinking negative, always waiting for the worst to happen, you could be like accidentally sabotaging yourself.
Right. He even says those negative expectations can actually attract more negativity. Kind of like that law of attraction stuff. Your thoughts and beliefs shape what happens around you.
Okay, I see how this connects back to his whole "it's not over until I win" mentality, right? If you really truly believe you're going to succeed, that's got to change how you see those challenges and setbacks.
Totally. That belief, that's what keeps you going even when things get tough. He uses these really vivid phrases like, he talks about taking the hinges off the door and jumping up after every fall.
I remember that. He's good with those phrases. No guts, no glory. That one stuck with me. It's all about that never give up attitude, that refusal to let go of your dreams no matter what gets thrown at you.
And it's more than just positive thinking, right? He says you got to take action. It's about actually getting up every time you fall, dusting yourself off, and taking that next step forward.
So you got to believe in yourself, but you also got to be ready to put in the work, even when it's hard, even when you just don't feel like it. But how do you actually develop that mindset? It's easy to get caught up in all this motivational talk, but then, real life hits and the doubts start creeping back in.
Well, he has some practical advice about that too. One thing he stresses is being careful about who you surround yourself with. He talks about how those negative people, the ones who are always pushing your buttons, they can really bring you down.
Yeah, like choose your tribe wisely. Right. Be around people who support your dreams, who lift you up and push you to be better. How do you actually do that, though? It's not always easy to just cut people out of your life, especially if they're family or close friends.
Yeah, true. It can be really tough. But sometimes setting boundaries is what's best for you, to help you grow. It might mean spending less time with some people or being more careful about what you talk about with them.
Right.
The main thing is to prioritize those relationships that are good for you, the ones that support your goals. And on the flip side, spend less time with the people who just drain you and make you feel negative. It's about creating a more positive space for yourself.
When you think about it that way, your social circle, it can really affect how you think and if you're able to reach your goals.
Exactly. And along with that, being careful who you're around, he also talks about the power of what you tell yourself, like noticing when you start thinking negative thoughts and actively changing your mindset.
So instead of letting those negative thoughts run wild, you choose to think about something more positive and empowering.
Exactly. It's like you're training your mind to focus on solutions, not just dwell on the problems.
That's a good point.
And when you change how you see things, it can really change what you do and ultimately what you achieve. It's about paying attention to that voice in your head and making a real effort to challenge those negative thoughts, reframe them, make them more positive.
So it's a two-pronged approach. Yeah. Be mindful of who you surround yourself with and work on your own self-talk. Those are two really powerful things.
Absolutely. But he makes it clear, none of that matters without action. It's not enough to just think positive and picture your goals. You got to put in the work day after day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, he's right about that. It's easy to get all pumped up about motivation and inspiration, but the real test is actually doing the work day in and day out.
He even says that there will be times when you're working with tears falling down your face. And those are the times, he says, that show how committed you are. He wants us to cherish those moments because they prove you're willing to push through the tough stuff to achieve something real.
That's deep. It's not about pretending everything is always easy and fun. It's about being okay with the struggle, embracing the hard work, knowing those tough times, they actually build your character. They make you more resilient.
And he uses this awesome metaphor about taking the hinges off the door. He says, sometimes you got to take the hinges off the door because you can't get through. It's like this super vivid image for just going after your goals no matter what, refusing to be stopped by anything.
I love that. It's like saying, nothing's going to stop me, even if I have to get creative and find a different way.
Exactly. And he also talks about how important strategy and planning are. He says you need to break down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. He says, when you're feeling overwhelmed, just focus on the very next small thing you can do instead of getting bogged down by the whole huge goal.
So you got to have that big ambitious vision that it's not over until I win, mindset, but you also got to break it down into smaller pieces, things you can actually do, one step at a time.
Exactly. And that's a really empowering message. It reminds us that we all have what it takes to achieve amazing things, but it's often the little things done consistently that lead to those big results.
It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Right. And he encourages us to embrace the whole journey, the ups and the downs, because it's all part of the process. He reminds us that there will be setbacks, there will be challenges, but it's how we react to those moments that defines who we are.
It's about remembering that it's not over mindset, picking yourself back up every time you fall, and just keep moving forward.
And finding joy in the process, even when it's hard, because it's that passion, that belief in your dream that will keep you going when things get tough.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We talked about mindset, who you surround yourself with, the power of self-talk, and taking action. But what does all this actually look like in real life? How can our listeners actually use these ideas to see real changes? It feels like we've already uncovered so many amazing insights, but let's get even more practical. How can our listeners actually put this "it's not over until I win" mentality into action?
One thing that really hit home for me was how much he talked about self-awareness, like really figuring out those stupid things we do that sabotage ourselves. And he doesn't mess around. He's like, be brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah, no more hiding those bad habits, right? Time to shine a light on them. So let's ask our listeners, what are your stupid things? Those patterns or habits that are holding you back?
Maybe you procrastinate, or you're scared of failing, or maybe you're always comparing yourself to other people. The important thing is to see those patterns, understand how they're messing with your progress.
And he doesn't just say, figure it out. He gives you a strategy. You remember that whole proactive preparation thing?
Oh, yeah. Like having this mental plan ready for when those negative thoughts or those urges to self-sabotage, when they pop up. So you're not caught off guard. You've already thought about how you'll handle it.
It's like instead of getting sucked into that negativity, you can be like, nope, I see you self-doubt, but I'm choosing to focus on my goal and take action anyway.
Exactly. It's not about pretending you don't have those feelings. It's about not letting them control what you do. And this kind of goes back to another practical thing he talks about. The power of small, consistent actions. He's not talking about these big, dramatic changes. It's about those daily little steps that add up to huge change over time.
It reminds me of the compound effect. You know how those small efforts, if you do them consistently, they lead to these amazing results.
That's a perfect analogy. And it shows why those "it's not over" actions are so important. Think about it. What's one tiny step you can take right now that'll move you closer to your goals?
Maybe it's sending that email, or signing up for that class, or even just spending 15 minutes on that personal project you've been putting off.
Yeah. Those little wins give you momentum. They reinforce that feeling of, I can do this.
And I think that's what makes this video so powerful. It reminds you that you have the power to choose how you respond to any situation. You can give up, or you can keep fighting.
It's in those moments when you decide to push through and keep going, that's when you really discover how strong you are, how resilient.
So to wrap up this deep dive, I think the biggest takeaway is this. It's never too late to start. It doesn't matter what setbacks you've had, you always have the power to get back up and chase those dreams.
It's about taking ownership, facing your fears, and embracing the whole journey, knowing that it's not over until you win.
So here's a question to leave you with. If this speaker was your personal coach, what dream would he push you to achieve? What goal are you ready to declare it's not over on? Think about it, and until next time, keep diving deep.